Hi, I'm Karin Mitchell. The High Treason Club tells the story of the Boeremag in its full scope for the very first time. So the Boeremag trial, it was 23 men who stood accused of high treason in 2003, and the trial ended in 2013, making it the longest running and most expensive criminal trial in South Africa's judicial history. It was also the very first high treason trial in a democratic South Africa, and it actually started in the same courtroom where the Rivonia trial took place. So just quickly, a quick recap on the Boeremag is most South Africans would think that they are white and Afrikaans and radical men, which is exactly what they were. But when you look deeper at the story, this group was very much driven by fear. It was early 2000s in the country. The country's democracy was still extremely young, and there was fear among the white population about what was going to happen to this country, what is going to happen to our minority population. And so they started religiously following the prophecies of a South African prophet known as Siener van Rensburg. And Siener had visions of a black on white onslaught in the country, and he said that this was going to happen upon the death of a black leader. Now, interpreting this, the Boeremag decided that they wanted to be in control of the chaos, so they were going to trigger the chaos by trying to kill Nelson Mandela, which they did, and nobody knew about it at the time. There was an attempt on his life when he was on his way to go and open a school in the Dzanine area in 2002, and the authorities only found out about this after the fact. So yes, they were definitely driven by the prophecies of Siener, and they wanted to restore the country to themselves. They considered themselves to be God's chosen people. So how did I get involved in the story? I was an intern journalist in 2011 when I got deployed to go and cover the trial and also to get a grasp on court reporting, and I certainly did. After being there for a few months, I managed to speak to accused number one in the case, who was considered a mastermind of the Boeremag. And I interviewed him in prison for at least 5 years. So the reader gets taken on this journey behind bars as well, but also it's about telling the entire story of how these men got involved with becoming part of the Boeremag, what drove them, how did it affect their families when they were awaiting trial prisoners for 10 years, some of them. So definitely a lot of layered stories in the Boeremag itself, but I am incredibly excited that South Africans can, for the first time, understand the full story of the Boeremag.